How's it going? This is John with Vibrate Productions and welcome back to another video. Today you'll see we're actually back in the Tesla and I'll tell you why in a second. But in today's video, I wanted to talk about the handling in the 2024 Tesla Model 3 Performance. And I apologize ahead of time if there's any rev bombs or any cars just passing by. I'm actually parked along the street here and I'm actually at a car show. And I'm going to be filming some things from the car show and we'll be doing some car spotting. So I'll do that later on in the video. But for now, let's talk about handling in this car. So one of the big things that I thought about before purchasing this car was the handling. I thought being a sports car, it would be just a very jarring experience just handling this car, especially as a daily. But I was sorely mistaken. On the first day I took delivery of it, the first thing I did was test out some of the settings. And this Tesla actually allows you to change the steering weight. And that's a big difference in terms of how it feels, I'll say. And it also comes with dampers. I think they're just called like dynamic dampers or something like that. I'm not really an expert when it comes to suspension setup, but ultimately the car drives smoother than I thought. I'll say, and I said this in my last video, it's akin to a 7 Series, so it is pretty heavy, but you could say that the steering weight allows you to modify it in a way where it feels like it's less heavy than it actually is. But you still feel the weight going around corners and stuff like that. So you'll definitely feel that. Aside from that, the car drives super smooth and it comes to a stop very smoothly as well, which I feel like all EVs do. I'll say when you're going around corners, it does feel heavy. And I don't really feel body roll in this car, but it's just the sheer weight of the batteries weighing down the car. And I feel like battery tech will definitely get better sooner than later, just because I feel like lighter weight batteries in this car would make the handling so much better. So aside from that, the car handles perfect. I also like the fact how you can actually change the amount of regen braking. So if you are going around corners and you want to use those brakes, which the brakes are pretty decent in this car, you could actually do that in the touchscreen. I'll say when it comes to potholes and things like that, you'll definitely feel them in this car. This performance model for this 2024 model year is equipped with 20-inch rims, and any car with 20-inch rims, despite how great the dampers are or the suspension or anything like that, you will feel bumps, unless it's like a Rolls Royce where it's just like specced up to the top when it comes to top end suspension and stuff like that. You'll definitely feel it in just like a regular commuter car like this one, but you don't feel it as bad as you would in like a traditional sports car, just because of the dampers and then the upgraded suspension that this performance model has. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, I'm pretty sure I had everything I wanted to say about handling in this car. There's not really much to say. It's a very smooth car that handles very well. So let's go check out this car show. So, supercars. Going into the entrance of this car meet, you're greeted with a lot of different supercars, and there's different, I guess you could call them factions. There's your Lambo guys, your Ferrari guys, your K-Trucks, your classics. They're all in different pockets, and the meet itself, or the car show rather, is separated between basically rich people and everyone else. And that's how pretty much most of the Dallas car meets are. And I remember in another video, I mentioned how bougie Dallas is. And this is a stark example of that. But anyway, moving along. I really like the color on this Lamborghini. I think it's a Lamborghini Huracan Evo, but I didn't actually check the back. You could actually tell if it's an Evo just because it has like a little wing or a ducktail as a spoiler in the back. But this specific model, I didn't check on the back, so I don't know for sure, but definitely like the color, it pops. Next, a 280 SL actually pulled up, and I love this car. If I had a car collection, I know for sure a car of this variant, some sort of older SL would be in my collection, just because this car is just so gorgeous. And you could tell this guy definitely keeps it up. Oh, this other car I saw, it was called a Midget 2, and that car looked so cool. I enjoy seeing these little K-Trucks, but this is the first time I've actually seen a Midget 2, and it's just so cool. I'll say the back of the truck, it almost looks like you'd actually sleep back there, which, I mean, I say it's a truck, but I don't know for sure if it's a truck. This thing is super small, and it's kind of separated, so there's like a glass in the front where the seats are, and then there's like a quote-unquote truck bed, but it's like a little square space, and it's not really like, I wouldn't call it like a traditional truck bed, but there's a subwoofer back there, so I'm definitely interested to see if there's like any rattles, but I'm sure the driver or the owner of this car doesn't really care. But nonetheless, this thing was probably like one of the coolest cars there. The next car I saw was an interesting one, and it's called, from what I know, it's called a Rat. And I know of this car just because Big Time just recently came out with a video talking about the Rat and how their specific Rat broke down. But I thought this car was pretty cool. It's like a very Mad Max sort of looking car, and it's just absolutely crazy. I didn't get any footage of this thing revving or driving away, but it sounds very, very loud. And let's just put it like this: it sounds exactly how it looks. The next car I saw was this McLaren, and I think it's some sort of LT variant, but I really like the color on this car, and I also like the carbon fiber hood. I think it's a nice touch. And next to it was this completely clapped out GTR. It had intake or some sort of intake just protruding out from the front of the car, and it had some very nice graphics on it. It's definitely different, and I enjoy seeing these types of cars at these car meets. Then after checking those out, a Rolls-Royce Cullinan actually pulled up, one of two that I saw at that car meet. I like this one specifically just because the color is just so cool. So after checking those out, I actually went back towards the entrance area, and I saw a 488 parked on the curb there, and I think this car is just gorgeous. Another car that would definitely be in my collection. The paint on it is flawless. In terms of reliability, don't know, and I'm sure if I had the money, probably don't care. The next car that caught my eye was actually this Gallardo that was kind of tucked away towards the entrance, and I love the color on this car. However, I don't like the headlights. I don't like how it's just smoked. I definitely don't like that look. I like the stock Gallardo look. And speaking of stock, I think that color is actually stock. I actually tried to look around the car just to see if I could find any lines, because when you install vinyl wrap, you could usually see like cutaway lines where it kind of ends, and then you could see the real color of the car. But in this car, it looks like it's legitimate green paint, which is pretty cool, to be honest. I'll say me and my dad, we actually had like a little discussion around like what we would buy if we had like $150,000, and this car was actually in the list. So I think the Gallardos are cool. I think the people who are heavily in the community of Lamborghinis, they might think something like this isn't like deemed worthy to be part of the club of Lamborghinis, but I don't really care about that. I think this car is pretty cool. So overall, I enjoyed this meet. I think this is maybe the 7th time I've been to this specific meet. I don't go every month, but they usually have it every month. And there's always some really unique cars there. I want to talk about more cars that I saw at that specific meet, but I don't want to make this video too long. So we're going to end this video on a special note, and we're going to be filming some send-offs. But first, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and also consider subscribing. I make 2 new videos per week, and I have car reviews that I make every month. So definitely make sure you subscribe. And like I said, this is a brand new format for me, guys. So if you enjoy the content, definitely leave a like and let me know what your feedback is in the comments. I'd love to know. So with that, let the send-offs commence.